In this video, I'm going to show you my favorite way to connect Airtable to make.com. Let's dive in. So I have a blank Airtable base set up. I've cleared out all the data, all the fields. Your base can be set up however you need. What we are going to do is we're going to create an automation, and in that automation, we are going to use a scripting block, and that scripting block is going to trigger a webhook that is living inside of Make. The reason I like this approach is because it's so flexible. I get to control my triggers, or what is going to set off this automation inside of Make. I get to control all of that inside of Airtable. And then when it comes to the data and doing all of the other data things and connecting to all the other tools, that all happens inside of Make. But the triggering happens and is controlled inside of Airtable, which I think is kind of nice because I might want to do it based on certain conditions. And then later I decide that I want it to trigger an automation when it enters a certain view or when a record is created. And by doing it with this approach that I'm about to show you, you have the flexibility to update that trigger whenever you need. So, and you can kind of customize it however you need. So let's dive in here. So I'm just going to add 2 more columns here just so that we have some data that we can play around with. So let's call this one fruit. And this is just random stuff too. So fruit and maybe color. Let's do that as a single select. And this is just random information. So let's call this yellow, red, and blue. And then let's say that this is me and my favorite fruit is banana, and my favorite color is blue. Okay. And then Matt, his favorite fruit is, he really likes grapes, and his favorite color is yellow. Okay. So I've got just little bits of data in here. Now I'm going to create an automation, and let's just say that automation, and this is where the flexibility comes in. Let's say that the automation is going to trigger when a record matches certain conditions. So the table I'm looking at, it was table 1. I haven't updated my table name, but I've got table 1. And I only want to fire this when, let's just say that the color is blue. Let's do that. So I only want this to run when the color is blue. So I'm going to choose my record. I'm going to find data in there that matches those conditions. Here we go. I've got one, and you can see down here on the right, I've got my record is Kyle, name Kyle, fruit banana, and then my color is blue. Okay, so when a record matches those conditions, then I want to do a thing. And what I'm going to do is I want to run a script. And so I'm going to add that script block, and the first thing I'm going to actually do is clear that all out. And I need to add, in my script, I need to set this up. So I'm going to add an input variable. I actually want to pass something through. And the thing that I want to pass through, I'm going to call the record ID. And the value is going to be the ID of the record from the previous step. So you can see when a record matches certain conditions, color is blue, I've grabbed that record, and now I want the record ID value to be matching the record from the previous step. So I've got my record ID, and the value is set from the record on the previous step. So now I've got a little bit of code that we're going to copy, but basically what we're doing is we are going to tell the Airtable script to look for data that we're passing in. And that is this first line. This input.config says, hey, look for data that we're passing in and set that data to be equal to the variable of record. Then we've got this thing that says content webhook. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to get your webhook URL, and you're just going to swap that out right here. You're going to paste that in. That's all you need to do. And then what we're going to do is after that, it's saying, I'm going to hit the webhook, and I'm going to pass in that webhook, I'm going to pass this record ID, which is the record ID that I passed in to the script. So let's just copy this, head back to our code, paste that in. Now I don't have my webhook URL right now, so I will show you how to do that here. So I'm going to jump over to make.com where I'm going to create a new scenario, and I'm going to search for a webhook. So I add that module, which is a webhook, and my trigger is going to be a custom webhook. So I've now added my custom webhook, and what you're going to do is you're going to click add, and this is going to be my color. You can name it whatever you want, but my color webhook. Okay. And I'm going to save that. So now what it's done is it's created a webhook. You can see that link right here, and I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, head back to my Airtable script, and right where it says webhook URL here, I will have this little bit of code on the No Code Collab website. If you go to the link in the description, you'll be taken to the page. So I'm going to paste that webhook URL. I just pasted that in, and that is all I need to do. So if I hit test, nothing's going to happen, but it's going to run, and I should get some sort of success that says, hey, we hit that webhook and it passed correctly. So now if I head back over to make, I can now, I've got my webhook. If I say run once, since there's only one module, I can just hit run once. And what'll happen is it's now listening. It's listening for that webhook to be hit. So if I hit test again, if I come back to Airtable, I hit test again, I'm going to hit that webhook. And you'll see that now it's been triggered. And if I click on the little bubble here, I can see that my record ID, this TIX, if you look at that, TIX was passed through. So the record ID from my Airtable record is being passed through. Now, the next thing I need to do to kind of complete this and get all of my data into Make is now I add another module that is going to be Airtable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a record. I'm going to get a record, and the base is the untitled. Ooh. I have two untitled bases, so make sure that you give your base a title. And then, oh, I need the other untitled base. And now I should have my table 1. I'm going to pass in my record ID. Now, when you do this, you will look for your actual base name. I just had a blank base. You will search for the table, because what we're doing is we're taking this record ID, we're going into the base, into the specific table, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull out all of that information based on the ID. So now if I run this again, I can test this, and my ID is going to go through. And what's happened is the ID was sent, and now I should have, in this little bubble, I should be able to see Kyle, blue, and grape, or banana, I think it was. So we can see Kyle, banana, and blue. Those were the things that came through. So now from this point on, I can start sending that wherever I need to. I could send this to MailChimp. I could send it to FormStack Documents. I could send it to another Airtable base if I wanted to create another record in another base. I could send this to my CRM, to Salesforce, to HubSpot. I can do whatever I need to from here. I can branch out. But this approach allows me to be very flexible so that I can come back here and I could say, maybe I want to change my trigger. I can still change the trigger, and I'm running the script as the second step. So I have the flexibility. So really 2 lines of code, very simple setup. And now I've got all of my data inside of Make to do with it whatever I need. Really hope that approach and tutorial was helpful for you, so you can start taking your data from inside of Airtable, sending it to make.com, and then really the world is your oyster once you're inside of Make. So hope that was helpful. Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and we will see you at the next tutorial.